Under Henry VIII, Southsea Castle was one of the most heavily armed forts in the country. But keeping the castle in good condition and armed with up-to-date weapons was expensive, and it often fell into disrepair. On the 27th of March 1627, a fire gutted the inside of the keep. At this time, the British forces led by the Duke of Buckingham were assembling at Portsmouth for an expedition against France. The fire was initially blamed on French agents, and all the French people were expelled from the town. Later it was established that it was simply an accident. Beginning in 1635, the castle was repaired on the orders of King Charles I. This took place just in time for Southsea Castle to face its greatest test. In 1642, civil war broke out in England between King and Parliament. Portsmouth was important to both sides, as the King hoped to get support from abroad by sea. When the Governor of Portsmouth declared his loyalty to the King, local supporters of the parliamentarian side gathered to besiege the town and Southsea Castle. The castle's garrison of only 12 men faced over 400 attackers. On the orders of the castle's commander, Captain Challoner, all the castle's guns had been moved so that they had faced towards the land. Early in the morning of 4th of September 1642, the parliamentarians managed to approach the castle from the undefended side. Captain Challoner, who was drunk, refused to surrender, so 80 parliamentarian soldiers climbed the walls. The castle had been captured without any casualties, except for a few soldiers who hurt themselves jumping into the moat. Later, in the 1680s, the castle's defences were strengthened by King Charles II's chief military engineer, Sir Bernard de Gaume. He added to the castle's firepower by building a position for 30 guns facing the sea. He also built a sloping earth bank, known as the glacis, all around the castle. This made the castle a smaller target for gunfire by hiding the lower part of the walls. In 1759, disaster struck when part of Southsea Castle was blown up. Women were preparing food in a room above a gunpowder store. Sparks from a cooking fire fell through gaps in the floorboards and set off the gunpowder. 17 men, women and children were killed in the explosion. Erosion by the sea had also damaged the castle over the years, and its guns were out of date. It was suggested that the castle should be demolished and a more modern fort be built nearby. What saved the castle from demolition was the main country that it had been built to defend against, France. In 1793, France declared war against England. The threat of invasion was raised once more. There was now no question of decreasing the strength of Portsmouth's defences while a new fortress was built. In 1813, rebuilding work at last began on the castle, supervised by Major General Benjamin Fisher. Rather than simply rebuilding on the existing plan of the castle, it was decided to radically change its layout. The outer wall on the landward side was demolished and was rebuilt 9 metres, 30 feet, further out. New rooms were built inside the walls, which created accommodation for 200 soldiers. This also meant that more guns could be mounted facing inland, where they could defend the approaches to Portsmouth. Another floor was added to the top of the keep, so that 4 guns could be positioned there. The most unusual change was that a tunnel, the counterscarp gallery, was built around the outer edge of the moat. This would enable the defenders to fire from behind at any attackers who managed to get into the moat. The bricks inside the keep were added during 1813 and 1814. A brickworks had been set up nearby at Eastney for the building of Fort Cumberland. 163,000 bricks from there were used at Southsea Castle. The curved brick ceilings in the keep were designed to support the weight of the guns on the roof and to protect against enemy shells. Most of the work was finished by 1814. Fisher's changes are responsible for the way that the castle looks today. although some other modifications were made after that date. These were removed before the castle was opened to the public.